it has been a crazy day. I got in from Mexico City last night about 11 o'clock. Was up at 5 this morning for work calls. It's now 6:30. I've been flat out all day, but I'm done. Now I'm on vacation and ready to head to the Philippines. Packed, get a bit of dinner, and then head to the airport. I'm all checked in, ready to go for a 16.5-hour flight, but I've got an hour or so in the airport first, so I'll get a cup of coffee. Luckily, I got myself a window seat and had an empty seat beside me, so I got stuck into some movies and watched the world go by. Finally, we started the descent into Taiwan. Taipei Airport is a bit glitzier than when I was last here, 20 odd years ago, but my connecting gate was just around the corner. A quick bus trip, and despite my reservations about the paint job, we were on our way. Soon enough, we were over the Philippines, flying high above the 7,500 islands that make up this incredible country, all set in a stunning blue sea. I couldn't wait to get under the water. I landed in Cebu, the second largest city in the Philippines. Now I had to get a ferry across to the island of Bohol, where Bob and Maravik would pick me up and we'd continue on to Panglao. As it happens, the airport is right by where the famous Filipino warrior Lapu-Lapu fought the Battle of Mactan in 1521, where he and his men defeated the Spanish and killed their leader, Ferdinand Magellan, who was leading the first circumnavigation of the world. As a sailor myself, this was something I had to see. Suitably humbled by the thought of a boat barely twice the length of my own, passing by this spot on the very first circumnavigation of the Earth, it was time to head to the ferry. The ferry terminal, about to head to Tagbilaran. Maybe I didn't pronounce that right. Big shout out to Ed, who picked me up from the airport and has brought me here and helped me sort out the ticket and everything. It was a massive help and really appreciate it. Okay, I'm on the ferry, a couple of hours, and I've got a nice seat, open air, upstairs, hopefully get a nice view, nice breeze, not too much rain. As we set off, heavy rainstorms were approaching from the north. But we outpaced them as we crossed the channel. And a couple of hours later, pulled into Tagbilaran. After a quick drive through the city, we crossed the causeway over to Panglao Island itself, and half an hour later, we were all checked in to the relative oasis that is Nora's place. Sat down at the bar and rang for service. Unfortunately, the bad weather I had escaped the day before caught up with us the next morning. In fact, it turned out that Typhoon had arrived. Sea conditions were too rough, and the Coast Guard suspended all vessel movements, ferries as well as dive boats, so it was lucky that I got in when I did. But it meant that the only dives possible were shore dives, and all the dive operators, as well as snorkel trips and freedivers, went to the same sheltered spot. Undeterred, Bob and I set out through the throng with Jolene, our dive master from Valm Divers. It was pretty murky, and the visibility wasn't helped by the bubbles of all the other divers already below us. But things improved once we got out of the drop zone, and I turned my torch on. The reef looked reasonably healthy, but there didn't seem to be much sea life. A few fish, including this pregnant pufferfish that caught Bob's eye, but things improved the further on the reef we went, with a feisty anemone fish, a school of indigo basslets, though they were quickly dispersed by a passing diver, and several Moorish idols with their elegant fins. Despite the crowds, it was a pleasant enough dive given the conditions. That evening, we celebrated our dive by dining inside a guitar. We were the only guests and were treated to appropriate musical accompaniment while we ate our pancit canton. The following day, the weather had deteriorated further, but since I'd come all this way, I was determined to dive again, even if it did mean going back to the same place. The one good thing was that the bad weather kept everybody else out of the water, and it ended up being just me, Jolene, the dive master from yesterday, and Joseph, another dive master with Valm Divers. Without anybody else in the water, we were able to just take our time and cruised along the wall undisturbed. What a spectacular day diving, topped off by that amazing encounter with the deadly banded sea crate right at the end there. Unfortunately, we now felt the full force of Typhoon Trammy, and that was the end of the diving. So we decided to do some sightseeing on the surface. Can you fit, Bob?
Yeah.
Can two of us fit?
You can get in the there's room. There's room.
Or you can back ride only.
Back ride.
Back ride.
You could sit on the bike if you want the full experience. You're good, you're good.
Alright, see you in a bit.
This is how it used to be. The other ones are so much better. So everyone has a different Bible quote on the back. That's where they are. So we're just coming to look at the people while they get their inspection.
Oh, there's a wedding going on. Oh my goodness. The church in Tagbilaran was founded in 1595 and has been through some improvements since. We just happened to have visited during a mass wedding ceremony.
So I suspect the groom was all at the front because there were family members leading the
okay. And they pair off when they get to the other end.
Yeah, I suspect they hand them off. Actually get married in Canada, they've got to have a wedding mass maybe.
Oh, okay, so you think they get married and then they just have one mass to celebrate the whole thing?
I'm hypothesizing.
When things started getting serious, we thought it was best to leave. Back in an even older tuk-tuk, we headed to our next destination. This is another Magellan-related site, where he signed the Blood Compact with Raja Humabon of Cebu. Unfortunately for Magellan, part of the deal was to see off Raja Humabon's rival in nearby Mactan, a gentleman by the name of Lapu Lapu. For our next adventure, we swapped the tuk-tuk for a more robust form of transport, borrowing a pickup from Alan and Tanya to head inland to the famous Chocolate Hills of Bohol. The Chocolate Hills are a unique geological feature, formed from cast limestone eroded into conical mounds. Up here, we were exposed to the typhoon winds, which probably did some of the erosion. Bob turned out to be an expert geologist, as he explained the Pliocene formation of the hills on the way up. Luckily, there's also a plaque at the top which explains the geological formation. However they got here, it was an impressive sight. Once we got back down, we headed back through the rice paddies, down past the bamboo bridge over the Lombok River, to our final destination, the Karela Tarsier Sanctuary, home of the world's second smallest primate. There are only a few thousand Philippine tarsiers left in the wild, and this sanctuary was founded in 1997 to give them a fighting chance. Before entering the sanctuary, we were given a brief induction and instructed to maintain absolute silence to avoid disturbing the tarsiers. As soon as we entered, our guide pointed to the trees. Now that is a penetrating stare. As we walked around the trail, it was obvious that without our guide, we would have no hope of spotting the little monkeys. But a little further on, he pointed to another tree. And finally took the camera to show me a third. After a busy day, we headed back to Panglao to see out the evening at the Chillax Bar Friday special. And with that, my Panglao dive trip was over. With the Typhoon gone, the ferry took me back to Cebu for my long flight home as the sun finally shone out. Thanks very much to Ed, Bob Marovic, and Alan and Tanya. I'm looking forward to my next trip, hopefully out of typhoon season.